Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys watching today's video and spending some time with me. Got some good info for y'all today. We're going to be talking about how to handle it when somebody cuts you off. Like you're going down a bank, somebody pulls up in front of you, somebody gets too close to you, how to deal with that situation, because it's not as simple as it sounds a lot of times. There's a lot of variables to it. So I'm going to sort of give you guys some advice from my perspective, my own personal experience, and we're going to get into that today. And also, guys, before we get started, just a couple quick things. I just want to invite everybody, anyone interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, and just shoot me a private message. And also, guys, thanks to everybody out there that's been taking time to use and bookmark my tackle warehouse link for your fishing tackle purchases. All you guys that are using that link in my description, you're really supporting the channel in a big way. So big thank you for me and my family here. We really appreciate that. Okay, if you fish long enough, I don't know how everybody that's watching the channel, you got different levels of experience and time on the water, but one of the things that you're going to deal with, both as a recreational angler and as a tournament angler, is getting cut off by people. People that come up, they get in front of you, you're working down a stretch of bank, somebody pulls up in front of you too close, somebody pulls up just too close to you behind you. Basically, people that just get in your space, and how to deal with that, because it can be a pretty frustrating situation. Now, first thing I'm going to tell you guys right now, and you need to listen to me on this, don't pretend like you're Mr. Tough Guy and get this big puffed up attitude. Like if some guy pulls them up on you and you start mouthing and cussing somebody, guys, I can tell you right now, from somebody that has been in competitive fighting, for many years and dealt with a lot of situations, you don't ever want to do that, because you don't know when you roll up on, if you come up and you start mouthing and cussing some guy that has seemingly slighted you, you don't have any idea what's going on with that dude. He could have just lost his family. He could have lost his wife. He could have caught his wife cheating on him. You don't know what's going on. He may not have nothing to lose. He just might pull out a freaking 9mm and blow you away on the lake right there. Don't ever assume that you think that you're tougher than anybody else, because you're not. I can assure you guys. So that's the first thing that I want to, get out there, is do not come across like you're, freaking, some badass, because you're not. That's the main thing that you need to remember. The first thing that you have to do is you have to be diplomatic, and you have to kill them with kindness. That's the main thing, because when somebody pulls up on you, here's the thing about it. You don't know if that person may not have any clue about ethics on the water. He may be somebody that's brand new to fishing and they don't know any better. So they pull in front of you and start fishing. You don't know what the intention of that person is, that somebody may have maliciously done it. Somebody may have been, trying to screw you. You just don't really know. But the first thing you can do is you have to be diplomatic. So when somebody gets in your space, the best thing that you can do with that is to go up to that person and say, hey, look, man, I'm working this stretch right here. I'm on this line here. Do you mind if I go ahead and have it? If you really want to fish that area, do you mind if I have this area? Now, what you have on that, from my experience, is probably 80% of the time, if you take the initiative to do that, most people will say, yeah, no problem, man. I'll move on down, or whatever. 20% of the people out there are going to be freaking assholes. I mean, that's just the way they are. So at that point, you have to determine what you want to do. You have to determine if you want to keep fishing, or you have to determine what action you do. If this is what I always do, if somebody pulls up in front of me like that, the first thing I do is I go up to them politely and say, look, I'm fishing from here to here. Do you mind if I have it? Most of the time, they don't have any problem with that. If I get somebody that's like, gives me a hard time or starts smart mouthing me, I just pull right up in front of them. I'll just idle right around them and go up in front of them and start fishing again. If they want to play that game, I don't want it to get to that point, but sometimes it has to get to that point. And usually when I do that, I haven't had any problems, beyond that point. The next thing you can do is you can also ask them, it's like, hey man, if you want to fish this bank, do you mind coming back behind me here and fishing it? You can see that I'm working down through this bank here. That's another option. And the third option is just to leave, depending upon how good the bank is. Now, here's one thing that I found. A lot of people will, if they get cut off, even if they're not catching anything, just to make a point, they're going to stay there and they're going to try to do whatever they can to harass the person or make trouble. But if you're not catching that many fish there and you're not really that fully invested in that bank, just pull up and leave and don't worry about that goober, because you don't want to get spun out. Here's the thing about bass fishing, especially in a tournament situation, and this is the problem that people that cut you off can create in a tournament situation, is they get in your head. Because you get somebody that pulls up in front of you, and whatever happens, if there's some tension between you, now you're thinking about that. You're not thinking about catching fish and focusing on catching fish. You're thinking about that goober that just pulled up in front of you, and that's all you can think about. That takes you out of the game, and you do not want that, guys. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to get mentally taken out of the game by somebody that has nothing to do with you catching fish or not. So you have to make that determination with it as far as, how to do it. In the rare situations, guys, where you get into an argument, I have got into arguments with people before, and there's no right or wrong answer with that. It depends on the attitude of the other person. You really want to try to de-escalate it. That's the main thing about it. You do not want to escalate an argument, because I can tell you right now, guys, there's a lot of people that their mouths get them in trouble. And if you can't walk the walk and you can't back up your mouth, you better not be mouthy on the water, because you don't know what you're up against. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big you are, how bad you think you are. Don't ever underestimate anybody that you're around. I can tell you from fighting competitively for years, you don't ever want to underestimate your opponent. I don't care what they look like, what they sound like. Never underestimate your opponent. And that's one thing, when you come up on a complete stranger on the water, you have no clue what's going on there. You don't want to wind up on the 6 o'clock news about some angler shot and killed on Lake Gunnersville in dispute on the water. Don't be one of those people there. So anyway, guys, every situation is different with that. Main thing is just try to be, nice, try to communicate, try to work it out, try to express your viewpoint. You don't have to roll over and be an unconditional doormat, but just be nice. Nice gets you a long way in this world in anything that you do. And I can assure you guys, most people that have an attitude, all those goobers out there that when grandma's driving 35 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, and all the guys out there in their jacked up diesel trucks that run by and flip off grandma, don't be one of those assholes. You don't need to be that. We don't need people like that in this world. So anyway, guys, just a few tips and advice from me. Be nice, communicate, get along, and it always works out better like that. So we'll talk later.